At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order. The Honorable Joe Tilem was elected to Beverly Hills City Council in 1976, becoming mayor in 1978. Joe has been a resident of this fine city for 56 years and graduated #1 in his law school class at UCLA. I can honestly say that I'm in and out of Pioneer Hardware, run by Joe's son Jeff, at least once a week. The Honorable Joseph Tilem.
Thank you, Marty, and thank you, members of the group that's here tonight, because you brought back a lot of memories. First of all, the lady sitting to my right, Donna, was my mentor. I also, once I was elected, I said to my wife, well, now that I'm on the city council, what do you do? What's it all about? And we were friends, social friends with Donna, and Donna took me under her wing, and she talked me down to the San Diego U.S. Conference of Mayors, and I got involved in that. One of the highlights of my experience was when I went down to Cuba. We had a group of 20 mayors from different size cities, small cities, medium-sized cities, and larger cities. They selected Beverly Hills as the representative of the small city. And we got down to Cuba. We spent 10 days going from one city to the next, talking with the mayors in this communist island about their problems. And what do you think their problems were? Garbage, traffic lights, the whole range of things that we have right here. And the culmination of the evening of the final day was dinner with Fidel Castro. And I still have that wonderful picture of handing Fidel Castro a 1 peso note as we were leaving. And I said to him, would you autograph this for me? He whipped out his pen and he autographed the 1 peso note, and he handed it to me and he said, I bet this is 1 peso note you're not going to convert back to a US dollar when you leave. Some of the things that were mentioned by Donna and by Chuck and by Richard bring back a lot of memories and some scars too. The highlight of one of my scar memories was the time we had the Shah of Iran's sister. She lived in Beverly Hills, and we had heard that they were going to burn her house down. And I went to our then chief of police and said, what do we do now? He said, well, our intelligence was that 3,000 people are coming from all over the country to have a demonstration, and their goal is to burn down the Shah's sister's house. Well, we organized the police department, we had the sheriff, we had the National Guard standing by, but the heroes of it were our fire department. They were there with their high-pressure hoses, and as they tried to go up the driveway to burn their house down, they turned those high-pressure hoses on, and these people scattered, and we were thus saved the ignominious picture of the Shah's sister's house being burned, something we've all forgotten about, but it's sears in my memory. Donna reminded me of some of the highlights because we all were together. Chuck and Richard and Donna and myself were together for quite a while. Proposition 13, that was an important thing that happened the year I was mayor. We were looking at a shortfall in our budget that would be blown wide open by the loss of revenue of that Proposition 13. What are we to do? So as it was explained, we were given until June 30th of that year to adopt other revenue measures to fill that hole that would be lost by the revenue for the Proposition 13. And we adopted something that we still have today that really keeps Beverly Hills on the level that it is now. And that is, we adopted a tax to make up for the difference for what the landlords were saving on Proposition 13 and what we had expected to use as revenue to run the city. And we still have it, and I think it's a major portion of our budget today. And I'm sure when we look at our budget, we say, where did that come from? Well, it came from those 10 days between the day Proposition 13 was adopted and the date it became effective, when we had a chance to fill that gap to keep the city afloat. It would not have been a pretty city if we were not able to do that. Rodeo Drive. Rodeo Drive, I was a swing vote. Donna mentioned we had a 2-2 tie at the time. We had the problem of Rodeo Drive. We had what were called curb cuts. You were required to have parking on site for the number of square feet of commercial buildings that you built. Well, it wasn't a very attractive Rodeo Drive to have every 50 feet cut with a driveway. And we came up with the idea, as Donna explained it, of in-lieu parking, where owners of commercial property, instead of providing on-site parking, which was a virtual impossibility, they paid a certain amount of money in, and that's how you have a parking structure on Bedford, a parking structure on Camden, a parking structure on Rodeo, a parking structure on South Beverly Drive. They didn't just come from the air. They came as a result of the in-lieu parking that individual developers paid instead of building on-site parking. It was a twofer for the city. First, we got a marvelous street, a pedestrian street that is world famous, Rodeo Drive. And we also have many, many parking structures with thousands of parking spaces that make Beverly Hills viable. Finally, let me mention one thing that is still with us. We had a drought in 1978. Nobody remembers that. We turned that water fountain off on the corner of Wilshire and Santa Monica with the Hiawatha, whatever she is, and we were saving water. We drained the pond, the Lily Pond, every place we could to save money, to save water. Now we have a new system of saving water, and a friend of mine, she just gave me her water bill. For the last year, it's run about $500 or $600 a month. Friday, she got her water bill for $7,000. So there's something amiss there, and our staff is going to take care of it, I'm sure. But the city has a long way to go. Water was the problem then. Water still is the problem now. And I trust our current administration to solve her problem and everybody else's problem on the water issue. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Edward I. Brown was elected to City Council in 1978 and again in 1982, serving as mayor in 1980 and 85. Ed is a lifelong resident, having attended Horace Mann and Beverly High, where he met his wife, Linda. Ed stays involved in the city, actively participating in a variety of city committees, including the Disaster Communication System, working closely with the Beverly Hills Police Department. The Honorable Edward I. Brown.
Thank you very much. And I was the youngest person ever to become the mayor, and I was the youngest person ever to run for city council. And I'm very lucky that I got the support from the community about my running. Some of the things that I was able to accomplish with the help of these people were I heard of a program in Phoenix, Arizona, where they were changing the way how they collected the rubbish in their alleys. And it was all done mechanically. They weren't using people, and we were using people, and those people were getting hurt, and we were getting sued. So I talked to the people there, and I talked to the city manager, and we brought that system into Beverly Hills. And so now you'll hear those machines going once a week, taking all your garbage away. I and the others were very adamant about putting lights in the alleys because I've always been concerned about safety. And when we put the lights in the alleys, we weren't in there before, the crime rate went way down. So that was another thing that we accomplished. During my term, I created a program called 2020 to improve the city in the next 20 years. Well, that 2020 will be ending very shortly because this is 2016. And it was to look at the future and devise ways of meeting what our goals are going to be and solving the problems which are before us. And we had 120 people involved in that. We were successful in building a new fire station across from the library. We established a program where we had neighborhood watch, and the people would come out and meet during a certain time and discuss the possibilities of crime in the residential areas that they lived in and what we suggested to do to help them stay safe. And we had the police department along to help them learn the techniques. During my time, I found out about dogs and that were very useful in crime protection, and I was able to convince the police department to get 2 dogs who were trained, and they became part of the community of the city of Beverly Hills and have done a tremendous job. And we've had new dogs also lately that have really done a remarkable job in catching the people who are trying to take our money or take our lives. And it's mentioned that we built 3 new parking structures during the time that I was on the council. The one on Bedford, the one behind the police department and library, and the one on Cannon Drive next to Whole Foods. We established town hall meetings each quarter to hear from residents, because I thought it was very important to be there and to hear from the community and not get tied up in our own little small area. We expanded overnight parking in certain residential areas because people were parking on their grass, they were parking in driveways, and they needed help, and we established some additional ways for them to park their cars. We established cable television, which has been very successful and educational if you're able to see it on your television screen. And that has been a wonderful thing for us to find out what's happening in the community. As it was said, we developed a senior housing for citizens in our community. We established town hall meetings each quarter so people could come out and tell us what they felt about their area and what they wanted to see us do. We fought against the Century City master plan. Unfortunately, we were not successful, and you see what's happening over there, which is going to create all kinds of traffic disasters for us in the future here. And I could go explain a lot about what's going to happen next, but we will at another time. I was lucky to be able to go with Donna to Washington, D.C., and I also went to London, Paris, and Germany to promote Beverly Hills, and that was very educational and also brought a lot of people to this community. As was said earlier, I'm on various committees. I was on the Finance Committee. I work with the Beverly Hills Police Department, and they call me and a bunch of other people, including Les Bronte, in to help for special purposes when they need additional so-called citizens who are also capable of protecting themselves and others. That's it. It's been a pleasure.